Hey guys, it's me, Draco. Today I'm finally back in action after a long break. Had a lot going on. Break ended up being way longer than I expected. But of course, we did announce another project, and I have been working steadily on both of the things that we have announced now, both Warcraft and the other thing. um, but today I have returned to show you all um, something that I really like. I know you guys will like it because it's awesome. um, and I guess I need to just go ahead and get right on into showing you exactly what it does. So the title of this video is correct. This is a fish cannon. I know that sounds crazy, and it is. It's also extremely stupid, but also I am going to show you how to build it, but don't try to build this in your survival world because it does utilize commands as really anything on this channel will. So, yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and show it. So basically how this works is you have a tank right here, which is going to be your ammunition, where you can just go ahead, you can manually load them, or you can have a command set up here to go ahead and auto-place them. You will have mob cramming problems, so you can go ahead and set your max entity cramming to some really big value, and then you will not have that problem. Another thing, because these fish will be dying, because we're launching them out of the barrel and into where there's not water, another very smart thing to do would be to go ahead and do your mob loot, turn that off, so that they will not be dropping the fish and bone meal and all the other things that they drop that we do not want. So after you've done all that, and you have all your fish in the barrel, um, we activate the trigger and never gets old. But it will launch the fish. I mean, everything about this is adjustable. How far it launches them, how many it launches, even how fast. Um, I won't get into all of that, but I'll show you how to adjust this. But without further ado, I guess let's go ahead and get into it. So I actually do not need this anymore. I do need to grab this though. Okay. So for the base of this machine, you're going to want to just have a layout. Wait. Yeah, so this will be 7 blocks wide or long. Yeah, so we have our 3, 2, okay. So then you want to do 3 wide, just like this, and then have that destroyed because there's going to be something there. And then there's also going to be a command block right here. So now you can go ahead and place that trapdoor there. Then we can add in our second layer, which is blue ice, and then just more blocks of your choosing. I'm just going to do iron because, I don't know, why not? So then this is another thing that you don't have to have, but I just like having the glowstone there. And then this finishes the outer layer of the drum. Go ahead and add that in, and then you want to put a acacia fence, or not acacia fence gate, whatever fence gate you want. I just like acacia, but fence gate that's opened, and then your glass and the iron blocks. So after this, you'll see that we have a fence post here that isn't connected. It can be any kind. But how you're actually going to want to do this is by setting anything there. Then you just want to do set block, lock in these coordinates, then whatever kind of, yeah, there we go, whatever kind of fence you want. And at first it won't actually register it as being next to blocks. If you break anything, it'll update. So just like don't mess with it and it'll be just fine. So now you just want to place your water in, and you've pretty much finished the base of this machine. Oh yeah, we have to have a lever right here too. That's why I put the command block, yeah. Okay, but we'll have to open that up now for it to be coded. So at this point, we want to go ahead and this is going to be where we want to summon the fish. So what you want to do for this is you want to take the commands for that, or take that command, and then you want to do slash set block, and you want to put one y coordinate lower than whatever this block right here is, and there you'll have the correct coordinates for the water block. Then copy that and paste that in there, and also make sure that's set to repeat. And now whenever we turn this on, it'll summon the fish inside of the barrel. So now we want to go ahead and here, and this is where we're going to have the fish launcher. So you want to go ahead and do execute as add e type equals tropical fish, comma distance equals, I found 5 was a good distance for it, because you don't want to make it all fish, because then there'll just be random fish in the ocean that you'll be launching. But after that, you're going to go ahead and do run data merge entity at s. And what we want to do is we want to give them a new motion. So for now, we can just do 0, 0.0, 0, 0.0. And what this would do is this is going to keep them in place completely. But of course, we don't want that. We want them to be launched this way. Now, this is going to just basically be whatever you're looking at blocks and your XYZ, the two values in your F3 menu, you'll see. You want to look at where those go whenever you move down the drum. You'll see, for me, the negative value goes up by 1 on the Z. So we want to make it go negative here. So I found a pretty good value for this is 7. Of course, if you were launching it, if your barrel was going this way, it would be positive 7. But for me, since it's going this way, it'll be a negative 7. Want to go ahead and make this repeat. Make sure for none of these needs redstone is on. You have to make sure that needs redstone is on, because if it's always active for either of these, it can cause problems. I mean, not always for that one, but for this one definitely, it causes a lot of lag problems. So now once you've done that, you go ahead and activate it, and it will launch all the fish out. Now there is certain ways to mess with the timing on it. You'll see if that for mine, it launched all the fish out. You can also do on this, instead of, if you don't want to launch all the fish out at once and at a slower one by one, you'll see that how I did it a bit differently, where it's not executing as the fish, but it's just directly modifying the data of the fish that the command recognizes near it, instead of the fish that's running as, which does all of them at once. Instead, this is just choosing a few at a time. This is just choosing one at a time, and it's just launching them just one by one, instead where this is launching all of them. So then there are also other things you can do to make this cannon a bit more fun, because while launching fish is nice, it isn't exactly anything too special. But we can, of course, change that through commands. Just go ahead and kill all tropical fish so we don't murder the game. So you'll see over here I have some different effects you could add to these fish after you're launching them. So there's two kinds that I've done. There's obviously more you could make, but those wouldn't be as practical. So I have both ground triggers and entity triggers. So what a ground trigger is going to do is going to test for when a fish hits the ground. It's going to execute the order that's going after that. With entity triggers, whenever it gets near any entity other than a fish, because you don't want it to activate. It'll activate in the barrel with other fish if you have it set to where it'll activate by fish, and that'll really just end up destroying your own machine. You don't want that, so I'll go ahead and show you how this is done. This executes at tropical fish, which is of course what we're launching. if the block below them is a grass block. There is other things you can do with this. I haven't found any filter that would specifically target solid blocks. Like I would think, where is it? I would think impermeable would work, but Uh, I've I haven't got to work correctly. I've had a lot of problems with it, so I would just use the main block that's going to be shooting towards, and that you want to make sure it's testing for the block that's right below the fish, and it you want it to be summoning whatever you want it to summon afterwards. And this is for TNT. I also have for lightning and fireballs, which I'll show in just a second. They aren't that different, but I'll show them anyways. For the entities, you want it to be testing for, it's the same start out where it's just executing at the tropical fish, but instead of executing if there is a certain block found, you want to be executing if uh, certain uh, certain entities are found. So the only filter on this right now, type-wise, is going to be exclamation mark tropical fish, which will eliminate uh, the option of it being a tropical fish. Anything but a tropical fish will execute the command of summoning TNT, and you want to be set to a certain distance. I did too. It can be whatever you want. But if you get to too high a value, it can be something way off from the cannon, and it's still going to be making the fish explode, which isn't really great. Um, but again, just whatever value you want. For lightning, it's the exact same as this. It's just lightning bolt instead of TNT, so nothing special here. With fireballs, it is a little bit different. You have to add this tag of direction and explosion power. I don't know if you need the explosion power tag, but I like to have it. Normally this is set to 1, I believe, but it's no fun with just a level 1 explosion. Those aren't very fun, aren't very cool. Um, Level 10s are cool. I'll show those to you in a second. Um, for directions, this is going to be wherever you want the fireball to be going. It's best to just have it set to -10, which will be it flying directly into the ground the second it's summoned, which will instantly make it explode. Um, but you could set it to go up if you wanted, to the side, front and back. I don't know why you'd really want that, but if you did, that's how. It's through this direction tag. And that's the same thing here, just with the distance and entity requirements. So with TNT, if we go ahead and turn the ground trigger on, and this will of course work with either cannon because it's not testing for the cannon but for the fish. If we just summon one single fish, turn it on, launch it, the fish will explode the second it gets near the ground. This is from previous testing, these holes. I just tried to cover them up, but they are there. So that will just execute, as you can see, whenever it hits the ground. Of course, if it hits anything other than dirt or the grass blocks, because of the filter we have set, it actually won't trigger. So that's kind of it's not fun. You pretty much have to manually put every block in there that you want to be able to trigger off of, which is kind of tedious. So I would just recommend putting in the most common block that's going to be aimed towards. As well, you can also have the entity trigger here, which for this, I'll just go ahead and summon a cow, or yeah, I'll just summon a cow with no AI. So we can just put in the no AI tag. Oh, there we go. So now that cow cannot move. It's stuck in our area of fire. Now when we launch a fish here, it instantly explodes when it hits the cow. And of course it won't explode on the fish because of the selector we added. So then that's of course the same thing with lightning. If we go ahead and patch up this area here for a second to where it will actually land on the grass, we can go ahead and set the ground trigger for lightning, and then whenever we summon in a fish, launch and it will summon lightning whenever it hits the ground. Now it's the same thing with any triggers there. Nothing special. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as it's just with lightning. And then the ground trigger for fireballs, which fireballs are just amazing. The things you can do with that. Now, of course, it's going to be a little bit of damage from where it blew up before, but I guarantee you most of it is from this fireball because of the damage we had, because of the explosion power that this thing will be dealing. So whenever we launch the fish, it's basically a firebomb. Does a ton of damage. This is from earlier, so don't worry about it. But this crater is from that. Now you can set the explosion value to this to very high numbers. I wouldn't recommend going over 100 because it murders your frames per second. And it will also, if you go too high, it also has a very good chance of destroying your cannon with it. And of course, you don't want that. So I just recommend staying like probably below 20. I mean, I don't know, 20 might even hit this. I'm not sure. I haven't measured what the explosion power levels do to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. I'll try to get my upload schedule back to normal again. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.